Hello and welcome back to another episode of
Yo,
the Cookout,
yo,
episode 36. No, is it 36?
36.
Yeah, 36, right?
Might be.
Yeah,
Dang,
Might
what's
36.
be.
going on?
36
Moving.
weeks and counting.
36 weeks in, another week passed, another weekend has come,
What's up,
another
fam?
movie review. How's y'all's weekends going thus far?
I'm
So
a little,
far, so good.
I'm a little achy. I got the vaccine yesterday, the first shot of Pfizer, and I could take a nap.
I could too. Yeah, I feel a
Yeah.
little tired.
Yeah.
Little tired.
But,
Arm is a little sore. Just a tad bit.
I wanted to share some information with y'all. You mentioned about it on social media, but it happened to me, and I just need the world to know that because of COVID,
Okay.
some restaurants that may not have the best reputation or just that might not be known for particular dishes have rebranded themselves, but only for delivery services. Like, for example, you can buy wings from a restaurant that's not called Chuck E. Cheese, but it's really Chuck E. Cheese, right? So watch out. Like Chili's has its own, Applebee's has its own, and it's these particular restaurants. Like I think I saw something today that was like pasta extravaganza. Like that was the restaurant. They only sold pasta. It was Applebee's.
Hmm.
I said all that to say that I've been getting fried shrimp and fish platters from a spot that I found on Uber Eats. And I thought the food was pretty good. It says something like U.S. fried chicken or something that I said, there's a million U.S. fried chickens. It should be good. And today, I was driving, said, well, let me just go pick this up. And I Googled this place. I couldn't find it. And so I went to the app, right? And I clicked on it and it's there in the app. And I looked at the address of the app. And then I looked at the address on Google. I've been eating seafood from Quick Check. And I don't like that. So, I just want the world to know that some of these
Check. That sounds like a gas station.
basically like a 7-Eleven type joint. It's a corner store. So yeah, I just want the world to, be diligent. Don't be me. That being said, it's super tasty, but it's a Quick Check. So, I don't be returning. I didn't even know Quick Check had shrimp and fish.
Speaking of seafood, check out Seaspiracy on Netflix. They go into some deep stuff, man.
I had no idea how serious or unserious that story was going to be. That was quite a delivery. I was like, should I be concerned? Is this about to be serious? Because like the intro, like the way you position that in the opening, I was like, yo, did something bad happen? And I'm like, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, it's bad.
It's bad.
Relatively. Yeah.
Listen, y'all out here.
I understand though.
Let's
you getting catfish by
7-Eleven, basically. No, okay, let's just say y'all find a new sushi spot and you digging it, and then you find out it's Walgreens. How would you feel?
I'll feel some type of way about that. That's
exactly.
For sure.
So that's why
especially Walgreens. Why is Walgreens serving sushi?
Quick Check selling
that's crazy.
fish? Like I don't. No. So yeah, just don't.
That's crazy.
Don't be me, people. Please, just double check your restaurants. Okay. It's not
safe. You're gonna eat fish, just catch it out the ocean.
Because by the way, Seaspiracy
or the river, right? Wherever, freshwater, saltwater, wherever.
Conspiracy, but instead they call it Seaspiracy. But
something like that.
Conspiracy was right there.
You're right.
They could have known the conspiracy, SEA, but they said Seaspiracy. I feel like they
did too much. They did
way too much.
Conspiracy is like that's where it's at. That's definitely where it's at.
Yeah,
That flows better
they
too.
missed the ball on that one.
Mm. Marketing fail.
I
Yeah,
was really eating quick check fish platters, y'all. Just please don't be like me. I haven't been right since. I wish I never tried. I wish I never checked. I'm very unhappy that I know this information. Like I could have, just continued to order and not know, but now I know. And now like this is I would rather not know.
oh man, I wonder
Hey,
where Libby Hill gets their fish now. Libby Hill is like a fish restaurant in North Carolina.
Isn't that a real place? It's not a quick check though. Libby Hill is like an actual restaurant, right?
Yeah, but who knows where they get their fish?
Oh, because it's conspiracy? I'm gonna
Yeah,
watch it. I'm gonna watch it. Is it gonna turn me off from seafood?
it's more like an environmental angle, you know.
Got you. Got you.
But it does say that like there's so many microplastics in the ocean that like whatever fish we eating is some
you eating
carcinogens in that
plastic.
joint. Yeah, like that's probably why cancer rates are so frequent.
Yeah, see, but I remember finding out about that in like earth and environmental science in like high school.
Yeah, but
But
like
I mean, we live by the
it's
coast, so that that kind of makes sense. I guess that wouldn't be taught everywhere, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean those because the microplastic really people put a lot of emphasis on like the bottles and things that we can see visibly, like the plastic bags, which are bad, but the microplastics long term are much worse because it's like the sea creatures are ingesting these microplastics, and thus when we eat them, like we are also ingesting these microplastics, and
yeah.
just it's I mean the whole situation is bad. It's a difficult spin to see a positive in it, other than us trying to do what we can to reduce the our waste.
Yeah, man. Fishing nets apparently are a big pollutant of plastic than anything else. It's fishing nets, but that's part of the whole. You got to watch that whole thing. They'll break it down. It's
That's
apparently the environmental agencies are in bed with the fishing industry, and they're not tackling the main causes of plastic pollution.
Yeah, like everybody's worried about straws, but I heard like the majority of the stuff in the ocean comes from like nets or just waste that they let out in general. Like we out here eating paper straws, but it's
Yeah,
like, what are we really doing?
yeah. Straws are like point. If I remember right, it was 0.03% of the plastic pollution. Yeah,
Textiles are also another big microplastics polluter as well. Like when you, because every time you wash your clothes, like microparticles are being basically put into the um, to the water supply, which is being cycled into the ocean down the chain. But it is definitely there's a lot of things, like almost every aspect of our society contributes to ocean pollution,
yeah, man,
and
it's
the ocean
crazy.
is 70% of the planet. So like
And
that's
eighty
just
percent of all life.
yeah. So very catastrophic if you think about it in terms of what that could mean down the road and what's happening. I mean I
We all
remember
gonna
that.
die.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying, like
We ain't gonna make it because we not making it.
The aliens
it's a
coming
very
down
Don't
at us.
dire
have kids.
situation.
Don't have kids. Adopt. Don't bring them into this mess.
Save the babies that are already here. Um, the aliens are looking down on us like, dang, like they jacking up everything.
Yeah, aliens in class looking at the teacher like, yeah, my project ain't going so hot, bro.
That's exactly what's going on. Like, yo,
Speaking of news, since we were on the topic earlier, some of you may or may not have heard about DMX earlier today. He was admitted to the hospital for an apparent drug overdose, but he has improved He is now off of life support and breathing on his own, so that is good news. That was very concerning to find out and learn, because
Yeah.
I'm a big DMX fan. Like that's he's going through a lot.
I was watching that
He's had
Woodstock
a
performance
very
video, and yeah, I was like, nah, we can't lose this guy right now.
yeah he's a very tormented soul, but you can tell his spirit is pure. Like if you've ever watched any of his interviews and things outside of the music, like he's a very interesting character, and I would hate to lose someone of his caliber to this. So it's definitely good that he's improving. I hope he has a full recovery, but that situation is improving. So if you heard it, or if I just broke the news to you, there it is. But I just want to say that because it's like, I mean, he's an icon, so like, definitely got to shout him out
Have you ever seen the
and his
video
family.
in his orchid garden?
Yeah, and he have a wasn't he taking care of like doves or pigeons? Didn't he have like a pigeon farm too on his roof in one of his
I think
He's a
so.
very interesting dude, man.
I think
Like
so.
he's
The
very dynamic.
the orchid
And
garden though, like that was really nice to see. Like he's known for being rough and tough, but he's growing some very beautiful flowers
Yeah, yeah. He's got
yeah,
orchids and
and
doves
pigeons.
and pigeons and also pit bulls and all. Like he just every aspect of, like, he's just a cool, amazing um person. But yeah,
Also, real quick, this is like not even to. I don't want to be on this too long, but since you mentioned pigeons, I was on like the dark side of the internet a couple weeks ago about hybrid animals. Like there are just people that try to cross whatever they can to see what happens. And
oh,
chicken pigeons are a thing.
a
Uh,
chicken pigeon.
they're
chicken
called
pigeon.
yes, they're called pickens. They look mad crazy.
No,
I'm gonna find a link to
chickens.
show y'all.
Oh
Uh,
my god.
You got
I'll put it in Discord. Join us on Discord after the show. I'm gonna share the picking video. But I promise you, like I saw a video on TikTok, this dude was making pickings, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. Then just looking in the internet, like there are people who just do this stuff. Yo, and stop it. Like we don't need any new animals. We don't need nothing. Like there's no reason to cross chickens and pigeons. Like there was no benefit. Like the guy who did it was just like, I just wanted to know what was going to happen. That's how accidents happen. Stop it.
I want to know how he did it.
Mm. Well,
He
it's
fertilizing a chicken egg with pigeon.
yeah, crossbreeding.
How you like penetrate the egg without it like
He
break?
like cut the top of the egg off and didn't break the yolk, and then did some syringe work, and then incubated it, and then got some weird looking
That's
chicken
wild.
pigeons.
Yeah, I mean, you can
Can they
also
fly?
do it.
I hope not, but they probably can. But I don't want them to.
I mean, you could crossbreed the embryo before it even becomes
Wonder how
an
it
egg.
tastes.
That's
Don't
wild.
eat it, JVM. This is the problem. this, this is the
I need some picking wings. That's what I need.
problem. That's the problem. You got those weird people who do stuff just to see what happens, and then there's people like you, like, oh, maybe we should eat it.
Hey,
Next thing you know, this baby's born with legs coming out of their necks. We
hey,
don't need
friend.
this stuff.
Picking, licking chicken wings. Come on, picking, licking wings. That sounds good.
Nah. It's just
I'm
the
not eating
idea
at
of
the
eating
restaurant, bro.
the pigeons is that's just wild.
I'm not eating there. But yeah,
man.
I'm sorry that our DMX conversation took me there. I just had to get it off the chest. Praise the Lord, DMX is breathing on his own, and
Yep.
I pray for a full recovery and an
Yeah.
album.
And I hope the people around him
And
stop enabling that drug use.
I hope so too.
I know some of that is personal accountability, but let's
If you're surrounded by yes men, you may never heal.
yeah. So let's hope that changes too.
yeah, and real quick, last weekend I had a virtual family reunion with the Coopers, which went very well. Helped plan it. That was last Sunday, and I actually went home because my dad's birthday was on Wednesday. the 24th, and so I went home, spent some time with him, and then we had the virtual family reunion that went well. See, Carol is in the chat. She is a cousin. She also made a donation to the coffee page, so I definitely want to make sure I thank her on air. I know she's watching right now, so I appreciate you and appreciate everyone who has supported the coffee page. We are almost at $100, so we very much appreciate the support that we've gotten over these couple months, and hope we can continue to get those types of donations. Any amount helps. And we're always grateful for those, for the support. It's been good. Hopefully we keep getting it, keep giving y'all great content, like we're about to do now with this review of Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, man.
I saw it
So
in theaters.
you said what?
I saw it in theaters.
You saw it in theaters. So you
And
saw it in theaters. I saw it on my 40-inch screen in my home theater.
mhm.
JVM, what about you? What was your viewing experience?
I almost fell asleep.
Okay,
Uh,
that was okay. That is the experience.
Got you. So,
yeah,
um, I think this was a theater friendly movie. I
Mm-hmm.
think the surround sound made it more exciting. I did watch it again in the house, and I can't really say that I watched it. I did not pay great attention to it, and I think that is the movie's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think there was just a lot of stuff going on, and it would have
a
been
lot.
received better as two separate films.
Yeah, a lot happening and no real explanation as to what and how and why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like the whole movie. I was asking questions like, "What is this?"
Yeah. Um, it was an interesting experience. I'll say it wasn't the
It's
most
a popcorn
entertaining.
movie.
My thing is though, I had low expectations. I was just looking for chaos and mayhem for the most part. It's a monster movie. I just wanted to see carnage. Like that was the bar for me. Like as long as you give me good action, um, I'd have
Yeah,
been good.
and it
But
didn't feel like they really hit a high level of like destruction. And
it didn't feel like it. I don't know what it was like in the theater, but those action sequences may have hit different in a theater. But for me, watching from home, what it was a movie like 2 hours.
yeah,
It's 1 hour 53 minutes.
So I don't know, man. It just nothing really stands out to me from the action standpoint. It was pretty standard. I felt like the action in this movie was basically the same sequences from Godzilla 2, but you just swap out the monster for Kong and you basically got the same fight scenes. I mean, beat for beat, the pacing, that's also another issue that I have with these movies. The pacing is just too slow for me. Like I need I need more. I need like Michael Bay level of intensity with this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like get on Michael
yeah,
Bay all the time about his action sequences and how over the top they are. But this is definitely the type of thing that you want to be over the top. Like
yeah,
there's no ceiling to to how chaotic this can be when you're talking about two titans like Godzilla and Kong going at it. Like I needed that like Michael Bay level of intensity in the action in the pacing of it all.
yeah. It
Seeing
was a
it
little
in
slow.
theaters and watching it at home again, the best fight in the whole film was the Godzilla versus Kong on the ships.
Hmm.
Like that was I don't it just worked. Like you got to see them in the water, going onto the ships, on the actual ship fighting one another. You got to see Kong really moving around and being able to, jump from ship to ship versus the fight when they were in Hong Kong. And although I didn't dislike how dark it was, even though he had an axe, I felt like they were more mobile on the ship than they were there. But I did appreciate, the artistry with the buildings and their neon lights. I thought that was dope. But the final fight, the Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla,
Mhm.
wasn't. I was in the theater like, this is a lot. But I couldn't really enjoy it. It was just there was so much going on. But that first fight, I could watch that all day.
The one
Yeah,
in the ocean with the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
that was different. Because it was that no that was definitely a nice change of pace because that was I think the restrictions given
Yeah,
to that fight made it way more interesting to watch for me because
it's like
King
how is Kong
Kong
gonna?
can't really swim. Like,
Right.
the water is Godzilla's domain. Like now he can go on land. Like he's good. In the ocean or on land, but he's definitely more of an aquatic or an amphibian, and he's just as comfortable in the water. And Kong not so much. So that kind of sort of like that was a cool dynamic. Because me personally, I feel like they nerfed Kong, and that bothered me a little bit in this because
I don't
I was
know.
talking
That's
to
Godzilla. That's Godzilla.
yeah,
I'm
but
saying.
if you
Hey,
this is Kong is a gorilla, and like if you think about like the strength of like a regular gorilla, and then you supersize that to like Kong's level, like that Kong should be super strong. Like he should be like how the Hulk is able to like leap from like continent to continent, like or at least in the comic books, because they nerfed the Hulk too in Marvel, but that's another subject. But
Hulk
like
leaps from continent to continent.
I was about to say,
yeah,
I don't think. I don't,
the Hulk can jump from like he's jumped from like the United States to like China, right? Like he can do that just in one leap.
What?
Like in the comic books,
I don't
the
want
Hulk
that
is a
That's
flying.
not
fighter.
that's not jumping. That's flying, dog.
No, I'm telling it's a jump though. Like he doesn't fly. Like he just jumps and like he'll land in like a whole nother continent because he's
That's
that
wild.
strong. But like, um, that's like the type of he should be near that level of strength if you're going to
Yeah,
scale that up to that degree, in my opinion.
yeah. I
He's
do
also
think.
got opposable thumbs. Like, I,
Yeah,
it's like
I expected him to
I
put
think
more
about
work
that
in than he did.
scene. I think about that scene in not in the Skull Island movie, but in the who directed that movie, the King Kong movie. But there's a scene there where he's fighting like T Rexes, and he takes one by like he puts him in a headlock and grabs his jaws and rips him open and then just bites the tongue out and spits it. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is how strong this dude is. Like this King Kong, and that Kong is not as big as this one. And I just feel like he wasn't anywhere near as strong as he should have been.
Mm.
Because if he gets his hands on Godzilla, like it should be a wrap. Like Godzilla
Maybe
should
it
be
was
trying to
just
keep
like
his
to
distance
scale.
from him.
If he's
But see,
beside Godzilla, you see how huge Godzilla actually is.
yeah, but if they're the same size, like the last thing Godzilla needs is for Kong to get close. Like if it's a
Yeah,
close range fight, Kong has the advantage. Godzilla's advantage is his nuclear breath, like his that beam that he shoots out, like that.
His
Kong
tail.
has to, yeah, his the tail, and that's for like a close range situation. But in my opinion, if
that
that fight
beam
was going
took.
to work for me, Godzilla should have been trying to keep Kong at a distance using the flame. But if like Kong gets close, like that's gonna be a problem for Godzilla. Like, and
Yeah,
I didn't see that. Like he was, I just
I
felt
didn't
like
see
they just
Kong getting beat like that. Like I knew he would. I expected him to lose, but not like that. He
yeah,
got
it was yeah
he
they
got
nerfed him.
mollywop.
Like they
You know
nerfed
what
him.
also gives Godzilla advantage? He does have arms. He doesn't have little Godzilla joints, which not the Godzilla,
T Rex.
Rex. Like yeah, Godzilla doesn't he has arms, so I think they gave him a leg up there too. He
Mm.
can't like
But
punch.
they not that long.
Then
They're
Godzilla
definitely
just he's
longer
long
got
than
enough
too
to
a
many
scratch.
weapons. He's got way too
yeah
many weapons. He can't.
yeah.
Yeah,
And you're
he's
talking about. I mean,
king of
this is
monsters.
a more intelligent being. Like I feel like Kong has more intelligence than Godzilla, because we know that in the wild, like gorillas and chimpanzees are able to make weapons and tools and stuff like that. Like so, like I didn't see any of that come across other than the spear, which was in the what middle, what do they call it? Hollow Earth.
Hollow
Hollow
Earth.
Earth. You mean
Yeah.
the axe, the battle axe,
Yeah,
that random battle axe?
yeah, and like they had that. You remember the random scene in the at the beginning when we found out, because this is another issue. I'm like, how did they put Kong in this enclosure in the first place? I didn't.
Yeah.
That
So
kind of sort of threw
they
me
built
off.
the enclosure around the island. They hinted at it, but they didn't give us enough. They said that the storm closed in on the island and destroyed a lot of the island. So they built the enclosure to help save Kong. But that was a hole for me too. I really feel like this should have been just about Godzilla versus Kong. And then
Yeah.
let's just say they had Godzilla win for some strange reason. Then you have Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla in a separate film, and then they have to go to the Hollow Earth to get Kong to help. Like that would have worked for me. That way we could have gotten a little bit more information. And I think that second Godzilla versus Kong scene when they were in Hong Kong, like you couldn't even enjoy it because then Mecha Godzilla came right out and was doing his thing.
But it was so telegraphed. It was just like like as soon as they introduced the Mecha Godzilla, it was like, oh, they're gonna team up now and fight him. Like it was just like,
Yeah. Well, I
it
expected them to
deflated the
team
fight
up
because they
like
showed
going
it.
into the movie. It just
Well, they
did. I was
showed
like,
it.
hey, you know this.
Did they show the Mecha Godzilla? They didn't show the Mecha Godzilla in the trailer. That was the only thing that
They
they
showed
showed in
it.
the
It was in
trailer.
promo. They released it in one promo image.
Because I
So
missed that completely. So like when I saw the Mecha Godzilla, that kind of just ruined the entire fight for me, because I was like, well, they're not gonna really fight like this fight is going to end with them teaming up and fighting this thing. Like I just it was way too telegraphed for me for me to enjoy. I think that's what kind of sort of took the intensity of the fight away from me for me too in Hong Kong, because we'd already seen the Mecha Godzilla before the fight even happened. So I was like, oh, and it's in Hong Kong, and I'm like, okay, so it's gonna break out and it's gonna start fighting one of them, and then somehow they're gonna figure out the best way to beat it is to team up, and then whatever happens from there happens.
yeah. And apparently, don't spill your drink on your keyboard, Vent, because
Yeah,
it'll wreck your
man, that
entire
was wild.
server center.
Yeah, that was a
The
lot.
leaps and bounds this
He
movie
took the
was
flask
taking.
and put some holy water on it. Destroyed Mecca. I said, "Oh no, this is crazy."
He put it simply, the movie was trash.
I say that, yeah.
It's
I put
not
it in the
my
recycling
favorite.
bin.
It's not a favorite of all the movies in this sequence, because I'm going to Godzilla, and then Godzilla King of Monsters, then Kong Skull Island, and then this movie is definitely at the bottom of the barrel for this franchise thus far.
I actually like this better than King of Monsters. I would go Kong Skull Island, then Skull Island. Some people in Discord were saying that they disliked it. I thought Skull Island was great. I appreciated that there wasn't that much small talk. The moment
Same.
they got to the island, boom, Kong was ready. Like I didn't think there were any lagging moments. To this day I can watch that movie from beginning to end, no issue. So I'm putting Skull Island first. Then the first Godzilla movie, then Godzilla versus Kong, then Godzilla King of Monsters. I didn't like Ghidorah that much. There was a lot of CGI, and then just all the extra monsters. There was just a lot going on.
That's my biggest critique about the movie. It was way too many monsters. Like they just threw in like every single
That's what I liked
monster
about the
minus
movie. Like,
Kong, and
all
it
those
just was
monsters
like. But
fighting.
you just ruined, like, to me, you just ruined the series. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could have had movies, like, but now he's
Yeah.
fought all of the monsters, and now who is he going to fight other than Kong? And so, like, now you just kind of killed your franchise. Like, just
You
scale
can
this
draw it
out.
out in one
Yeah,
battle
like
per movie.
one battle per movie, and make it intense, because like they all offer some level. Like, think about how I like How? What do y'all think about the newer Planet of the Apes movies?
Which one
Like
is that
that
with Mark
franchise?
Wahlberg? Oh no, you talking about with uh the one with what's his name?
with Caesar. I
With
haven't seen
Caesar,
them.
Yeah,
and they
Caesar.
got what's my man who plays, he
Yeah,
does all the mocap work. Um, but yes, so that franchise, I like how that franchise developed.
I
Um,
didn't see each of those movies. I saw the first one and parts of the second.
I liked like how over time, the fall, like humanity gradually fell back into like the dark ages, like throughout the frame. Like that's a dynamic of the story, and I feel like with this, the Godzilla franchise and Kong, like and all this, like with these Titans coming back, like the amount of destruction and chaos that they bring, and kind of sort of resetting the natural balance would send us kind of sort of back into like the dark ages, stone ages almost, and like that would have been a cool dynamic to add into, because they keep injecting this human element into the story, which I'm just not a fan of. Like I'm not that interested in
Yeah,
the
me neither.
the people and like the relationship between I don't care about any of that. Like I'm here for the monsters. I just want to see the monsters fight. I want to see all that. That's what I'm here to see. And I feel like the way that the Planet of the Apes handles that, uh, you know, reversion back to the natural world is something that they should have adopted for this franchise as a whole. Like, because I mean, especially when you do uh, Godzilla King of Monsters and you have all of them return, and like the amount of chaos and destruction that they, you know, like that's gonna set society back. Like, just look what COVID did. Can you imagine like if Mothra comes in, like, because every time Mothra flaps his wings, like it levels a city. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't see any of the fallout of like I need to see all of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a good dynamic to put into the story.
Yeah, that just made me think of One Punch Man. Like every time there was a fight in that series, whatever city they were in was completely destroyed. Like they were just going from city to city, completely knocking them down, and then they would leave, and it would just be rubble. Like the whole city is gone. And
Hmm.
I mean, even some of you know what? There was so much radiation at the end of Godzilla King of Monsters that
Right.
the United States and everything around the whole North America should have been inhabitable.
The entire West Coast by at least should have been uninhabitable. Because like I mean, he's
No, the East
shooting
Coast, that was
nuclear
horrible.
radiation. That flame, that blue beam that he shoots,
Yeah,
it's radiation. Like like everything should be like in complete chaos. And it's not like I don't think that that's a just over the top. Like I like it, but it's like none of it has an effect on society as a whole. And I wouldn't have an issue with it if they weren't injecting society into these movies. So now once you start, you know, once you do that, like there has to be consequences. Like there has to be fallout. It's just like with Civil War. Um, you've got the invasion of New York, and like everything that the Avengers were doing up until Civil War happens, and then all of a sudden they inject like, yo, there are repercussions for
Boy,
all of this stuff.
foolish.
it took me a minute. It took me a minute. We got problems.
Yeah, he may right.
I lost my train of thought. Oh, I say this every time.
Hey yo,
I say
oh man, that's crazy.
I say this every time we come on here and we dog a movie. I do wonder if COVID has left us with so much free time that we are a lot more critical on films that we would not like. Would we have the time to
Nope.
watch to think about this so harshly and just completely break it down? I can't say that for
Oh,
sure.
I do. I just normally wouldn't share my
Okay,
opinion. That's the only difference. Like, but yes, like
because I
these are my
Yeah.
opinions. I just don't share them. But now I
like
have time to share them.
anything and it's not just this, anything I watch, I'm in front of my TV like, maybe it is also that, we've started this and I have to think about, how does Imani feel about it versus what is Imani going to say on the show? Am I going to be able to talk about this
Mm-hmm.
positively? Now I'm thinking about how movies and shows affect Black people all the time, and yeah, it's I don't know. So I thought it was a great movie to watch in theaters. I would like to watch Skull Island again. That was just a great movie. That's always good.
Yeah, I like
And it's not to
Skull
say that
Island.
there
Good
aren't
one.
any entertainment value. There's a lot of there's things that are entertaining about the film for sure.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, absolutely.
I didn't lose. I watched the film not attentively, but like there are a lot of cool moments and things that happen that kept me like engaged enough to not like want to cut it off. I never wanted to turn it off. It was just kind of like, yo, this is like not what I was expecting. This isn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Like, why is this? But I continued to watch it because the action was when it hit, it did hit.
So, what was y'all's favorite part of the movie?
Like I said, that ship battle scene.
That's why I say probably the ship battle
Oh,
scene.
the ship. I
I
think sign language for me.
I do have a rebuttal to your previous
That's cute.
statement about the not
That's cute.
enjoying the stories about the people. I think Skull Island is the only film where it worked. Like
Yeah, yeah,
Samuel L.
yeah.
Jackson's character being a military man who doesn't have a life outside of the military, and his team is about to go on leave, and then he finds like a final excuse. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated that. Then you saw how it
Yeah.
affected everybody else that's there, and then you had the young guy who's just supposed to be a scientist, and now he's drug into Monarch and all that stuff. Like, you got
Yeah.
to see Kong in action. You got to see him fighting people, which I thought was great. Then you get to see, him battling the skull crawlers and all that stuff. I
Yeah, yeah.
appreciate that. I think there is a way to do it. And
Yeah. Make
this
a
film,
good
there was
story.
just too much stuff. Like, how could they really give us, better storylines about the people if they have to have Godzilla? I mean, they have to ship Kong across the sea, and then he has to fight Godzilla, and then Kong got to lose. Then they have to fly him there because they can't ship him, and then he has to go into the Hollow Earth, and then they got to deal with that mess. Then
And
Kong,
why is Hollow Earth in Antarctica not under Skull Island?
there's an entry. They didn't explain that enough. There's
It's
an
a conspiracy
entry
theory.
point there. There's entry points all over the world, and that's just an entry point that they, I guess, couldn't have control of. That Monarch or Apex, but they didn't
And
explain
Apex
why.
was another thing. Like, who is this Bruce Wayne imposter? Who is this dude?
It's a different
So
dude from King of Monsters. I didn't understand that either. Like the
Yeah.
antagonist guy in King of Monster, he survived. He was at the end of the film. So why is it somebody else now? They didn't really explain much.
So
Yeah.
technically, the Hollow Earth theory is something that they've taken, like, because that's a real conspiracy theory in the world. If you aren't, if you all, do y'all know about the Hollow Earth conspiracy theory
I do
in
not.
Antarctica? And
Yeah.
like, so all the world governments establish, well, superpowers, have established like these scientific outposts on. This is real on Antarctica, and this happened like right after World War II. Like, for whatever reason, every single, like, the United States, Britain, France, Russia, like, for Soviet Union, and all these, like, first world countries took interest in Antarctica for some reason and began doing research there. And I don't know how, but somehow people started running with this idea or theory that the Earth is hollow, and that the entry point is at the either the North and the South Pole, and so in the reverse polarity, like all of that stuff. So that's just something they took from that's a running conspiracy theory right now. Like that the dinosaurs are still, I think, are still alive, and that they exist in the hollow Earth, and that this plane, it's weird. It's wild.
And that Earth
It's a
is
wild thing.
actually lit on top of a giant turtle shell. I heard that one.
I've heard that one too.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one where it is. But
But
it's
yeah, so
People be
that's kind
smoking
of sort
too
of
much.
the that they took that
Don't smoke
inspiration
crack.
from that conspiracy theory for the hollow Earth thing, but it still doesn't really explain like
the
why they
movie.
put it into
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't like
it
the
was
whole
like,
conspiracy angle either in the movie. I'm like, come on. What is
yeah,
the
it was like they
conspiracy over?
had
Like,
all
we
of
know
these.
these things are here. They're wrecking cities. There's nothing to hide.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
making
they
this. Oh, you got it.
no. So I mean, for me, it just felt like they had these plot points that they wanted. They didn't try. They weren't trying to tell a story. They just had these specific plot points that they wanted to put into the story of Kong versus Godzilla, and then they just built a narrative around these plot points, and then that became the movie. Like that, and that's all I was gonna say. Like that's kind of sort of why it feels disjointed to me. Like
Yeah, story was all over the place. How'd y'all like Paperboy?
No matter what he's in,
he's
I only
Paperboy.
ever see Paperboy, and it
Yeah,
just sucks for him because he's a good actor.
yeah,
But
Yeah,
I've
and you
watched.
see how it's his characters are way different in his movies, but for
Yeah.
some reason this Paperboy dog.
yeah, yeah.
Always. He was in the new Chucky movie that came out last year. It was 2008, 2019 that came out. They redid Chucky, and instead of it being just a doll, it's like an animatronic doll that connects all your electronic devices in the house. But he was in that movie and Paperboy the whole time. Yeah.
I tell you, one movie where I didn't see Paperboy was he was in an insane asylum. The Joker.
Mm.
Nah,
He
I
was
was like, what's Paperboy doing working there?
and why was he sweating the whole movie in Godzilla Kong? He the only person sweating.
He's stressed out. All these
He was
conspiracy
looking
theories
crazy.
got
I didn't even notice that he was sweating.
Yeah, bro. If you go back and watch that, you probably won't. I don't blame you, but
His
you
skin
see
was
him, he's sweating.
Yeah,
The
I don't
only
know.
one.
Yeah,
I'm like, he got a health
I
problem.
mean-
What's going on?
yeah.
Paperboy is
He don't watch
his
Atlanta.
character from Atlanta. He's a rapper.
Raheem, you gotta watch Atlanta.
Yeah, you have
bro.
to watch
You
Atlanta.
gonna,
I don't
you'll
understand
like
why you
that.
haven't.
Yeah.
That show is
You missing
hilarious.
out. You missing out.
You can
That
watch
was pure
Atlanta on
comedy.
Hulu.
Yeah.
Paperboy. We've only seen
Oh,
Paperboy.
okay. He knows what we're talking about. Yeah. I mean, another thing too about the franchise as a whole, like I feel like they kind of miss some of the inspiration behind these stories. Like these are inspired a lot by Eastern philosophy, and there's I don't see enough of that in these movies portrayed on screen. And like what I mean by that, like a lot of the you spent what if you look at the East Asian religions like Shinto and others, like they're more natural, being that they nature is more divine. Like nature is what we would consider in the West godly in these religions, and it's the higher calling. Like nature is above humanity, and like we are just kind of sort of a part of this story, where in a lot of Western religions and theology, like we kind of sort of take the ideology that man is like above. There's like a hierarchy, and man is above like the animals, and then like then it's the angels, and then it's the archangels, then it's Jesus, and then it's God, Jehovah, Allah, whoever, whatever you call them. And I don't see enough of that type of respect paid to the Eastern ideology and philosophy that inspires a lot of these stories in these, because it's westernized, and it kind of throws me off a little bit, because I think it would work better if the story actually kind of serviced a bit that, because I think that's a key part of Godzilla and like the kaiju, like, and these monsters from these Japanese stories, like it's a belief that when it comes down to man versus nature, nature is supreme. Nature's going to win every single time. Like, and so you have to respect nature at all costs, because you can't win that fight. And like that doesn't come across to me in these films, and I think it would be better
Yeah,
suited if they focused a little bit more on that.
that'd be a better story. But it's gotta
Yeah,
have the people gotta eat their popcorn while they watch.
Yeah.
yeah,
I did
I
this a
guess.
couple weeks ago. They cut different versions of these films that they show in Asia. So I'm pretty sure
Mm.
that what we saw on
It's gonna be
HBO
way
Max
different.
is different than what was released in China 2 weeks ago. They got the movie before we did. In 3 days, it made $50 million over there. So they enjoyed it. But I doubt we saw the same film. And I said it before, I'd like to see those films. I don't know what I have to do or what back internet ways I have to go to find it, or I don't know if I have to figure out a way to change my location on my computer to get a different HBO Max, but I would like to see what version was played in Chinese theaters.
Yeah, yeah, I would too. Like, I mean, just to see if some of that is reflected in those versions, because I think I would like to imagine that would be a lot of the changes. Like, there aren't so many of those Western ideologies embedded into the story, and it's more Eastern, has more Eastern philosophy and ideology in the actual story, or there's just less of the humans and more of the kaiju monsters. So like, I don't know, I would definitely like to see the Snyder cut, if you will, for Godzilla vs Kong. It might be a better movie for me.
Maybe so.
Possibly, we don't know. We'll see. We'll never know unless we somehow get our hands on the Chinese version.
The Snyder cut just it ruins every film because now every bad film, I can't help but think there's a better version out there that someone won't release and I need to see it. Like I don't even want to judge this movie because I want to see the Snyder cut of everything. And
Yeah,
that's just not real.
I mean, the Snyder cut is ruined the entire DCEU for me. Like, I don't. There's nothing really I'm looking forward to within the DCEU now, especially if it's not a continuation of the story that
Oh, I'm
I
looking
saw in the
forward to
Snyder
that
cut.
that Batman, that new Batman.
I want to
Definitely looking
see
forward
that.
to that. Yeah,
That
that looks
that's
tough.
not a part of the DCEU either. They got that on. That's some
Yeah,
other
so
outside stuff. That's why we want to see it. It's just another story.
They're
Um,
gonna
yeah,
keep with that too. They're gonna make spin-offs of it from that movie, and it's just gonna be in a different uh, universe, Earth Two.
that's crazy. Well, if that's the case, give us the
that's what I'm
Snyderverse.
saying. So you can create the Snyderverse like in Earth 3, and I'll watch those.
I don't
Yeah,
know if y'all
yeah.
noticed, but we have not received any numbers for how Justice League performed,
Oh,
and
they've been suppressing that information like
yeah,
since it came out. Like,
and in
you can't
fact,
get any data on it.
can't get anything. And they even had HBO Max remove the feature before the Snyder Cut was released. There's a feature on HBO Max called Trending where you could see the number one trending movies and
They
shows
took
or
it off.
whatever. It's gone. It's been gone since they released the Snyder Cut.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're trying to bury this movie. Like,
Mm.
That doesn't even make sense. I do hope because it is because of the AT&T Warner Brothers purchase that the Snyder Cut was made in the first place. AT&T made that decision like, yo, we'd like to see it, put it out. I'm hoping that they're like, we need more of this. I don't know who's in control, but the fact that they allowed him to do those reshoots and they gave him the money for the editing and everything that he needed, it just doesn't make sense that they would allow that and then pretend like it doesn't exist. Like, what was the point of that investment?
well, I mean, they did the same thing with the Suicide Squad. David Ayer's original, like the story that he told and wrote, is not the what was released in theaters. Like he has an entirely different version of that movie as well.
Yeah, it
Um,
wasn't his version like more of a drama.
yes, yeah. So it basically would have been more like the Snyder cut. Like, we would have got a lot more character development. It would have had a lot, a more serious tone. It would not have been like DC's version of Guardians of the Galaxy, which is what they tried to turn it into. um, it would have been probably, tone wise the same as the Snyder cut. And like, I don't know, man. That's Warner Brothers is
Doesn't make
they are
any.
tripping. They are tripping for real, big time. Like, hey, because it's not like it was just over the top, like vulgar. Like it fit. Like it worked. Like
Yeah,
it
DC just needs
wasn't.
to stick with the darker tones, man.
Yeah,
You
and
like
it
that?
wasn't even like it wasn't even that dark. It was just it wasn't as lighthearted as Marvel, but it wasn't like depressing. Like it was just serious. It had a very serious tone to it that you felt come across, uh, but it still felt heroic and epic and like very optimistic. Like it was very well balanced in my opinion.
I don't understand DC's desire to like change the characters to be lighthearted. I'm just thinking about Batman. Like he's not the people's hero. Like
He's
he is
not
not
at
waving
all.
around. Like he
He's
beats up criminals and then he leaves. That's it. That's what he's
he's
about.
not Tony Stark. Like they
Like
tried to
he
turn him
is
into Tony Stark, and he is not Tony Stark. Like they are not the same person. Like
Tony Stark
all
likes to
because they're
live
both
life,
billionaires. Like yeah,
right?
like
Like he simply beats people up and leaves. That's it. That's all he's about. Beating up the wrong people, but
yeah,
still beating up people.
yeah. So like
He goes for the smoke. Where the smoke
Right.
at? I'm gonna put it out.
You did something. You look like you did something. That's how he operates.
yeah. I mean, but you got to
Uh,
think about it. Like he witnessed his parents get murdered in cold blood right in front of him. Like
yeah,
that's
that's
gonna
some trauma.
reshape. That's gonna shape you as a person. Like in you may
He
not
mad.
be.
He
Yeah,
angry.
you gonna have an edge for sure, and that's part of his character. And
Yeah.
that'd
Ain't
be
nobody
like if
tell you
Tony.
nothing.
Now imagine if Tony Stark was in the car when Winter Soldier killed his parents. Then you'd have more of a Bruce Wayne type Tony Stark instead of what we got because he had no idea what happened. Like as far as he was concerned, it was a tragic accident. Like he wasn't there. Imagine if like he was there and witnessed it and like saw all of that transpire. Like he would be a way different person than um, the Tony Stark we know in the movies. So like I don't know. That's they it wouldn't it wouldn't surprise me because this Warner, this is not Warner, this is Warner Brothers, isn't it?
What?
Godzilla vs Kong.
Yes.
It
It
wouldn't
is.
surprise me if they cut a lot of stuff out of this movie too, just to make that 2 hour mark fit. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this movie would have been a lot better if it were longer.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe
It's very
because
possible. They
I
could. They
I
said
was
probably.
that
They
watching that
may have
movie
nerfed this movie
asking so
too.
many questions.
if it was
Maybe
a
they,
3 hour film, we would have got some answers.
Yeah, this maybe this needed to be 3 to 4 hours. Like build up the suspense between maybe there's a version of it where they built up the suspense between the fight, um and then there's a lull, and then the mech is introduced, and then I don't know, it could be a better version of this film. That's all I'm saying. It's not outside of the realm of possibilities coming from Warner Brothers at this point. Like we've seen enough of the dirty laundry to know that they can be shisty with how they cut and edit films together just to make more money. Because the whole thing is really it's about getting runtime in the theaters, and the shorter the film is, the more theaters you can play it in, and so the more money you can make off of it over in the long run.
So this was made by Legendary Pictures and is distributed through Warner Brothers. But they're also responsible for the last couple of Jurassic Park films, the Jurassic World.
who Warner Brothers or the
Uh,
Legendary?
Legendary Pictures,
They need to stop.
and they're making this. Yeah,
Them Jurassic Park movies trash.
But I believe Legendary, that I think they did the Nolan trilogy as well.
they did.
Yeah.
That was
I
Nolan
think
though. Nolan had a heavy
Well, he's
hand.
got way more control. Like
Yeah.
and it wasn't a part. That wasn't a DCEU type of thing. They weren't trying to build a DCU. That was just about Batman. So that's a little different.
Zack Snyder's
Um,
300 was under them too.
yeah. So I bet you there's a longer version of that. I know for a fact there's a longer version. So now his Watchmen was probably under Legendary as well. So I think a Legendary might be getting some, sliding by on this a little bit.
I mean, they
Legendary.
make money in the
It might be
box
slipping
office.
under the radar because like
They were
Warner
responsible
Brothers
for
is
that
catching all the
terrible-
smoke.
They were responsible for that horrible Warcraft movie.
That movie was good.
You liked
Cool.
it?
Me and you saw that Warcraft movie.
Yeah, I didn't. I liked it.
I went in thinking like, I was like, yo, this.
I had,
movie
we
whack.
both had a low bar for it because we were
Yeah.
like, we were kind of like,
No,
I'm
fuck that
not going
movie.
in there with no type of expectations for this to be good.
All right.
Yeah.
All of the trolls, the orcs, whatever, were CGI except Paula Patton. That didn't make any sense. Y'all like that movie?
Yeah.
Paula Patton was probably the worst part of the movie, but the story itself
The
was
way she
definitely
looked was
yeah,
the worst part of it.
well, I mean, the acting wasn't that great either. From
I ain't
what-
saying
it wasn't that good.
Hey, I like.
Now the look,
I want to see it again.
the fact that she wasn't like an orc, they just painted her skin
They just
green.
painted her green.
Like
It-
there's a lot with that
It wasn't
character
in the
that I'm
budget.
just like
It wasn't in the budget.
I
No,
understand.
it wasn't about the budget. It was like, no, we cast Paula Patton. We need to see her. Look
yeah,
at
that's basically what happened. They
That
were like,
was-
we not about to put we not
Oh,
about to
man.
CGI Paula Patton into a big orc character. Like
That's
no,
funny.
we're not gonna.
I
So
saw it
I
in
understand,
Dollar
but
Theater
at the
in
same
Greensboro.
time, you said what?
I saw it in the Dollar Theater in Greensboro, and I wanted my dollar back.
Damn.
I like the story. I was compelled. Like
Yeah.
I like the nations and the dynamics and like all of the lore and everything that they put into it. Like I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm on board with this. Like I like this. Like it reminded me of like it was a good fantasy story. Like I've never
Yeah,
played
it wasn't
World of Warcraft.
corny either. Like
Yeah, but I like fantasy. Like I need more fantasy movies like that, where you got magic and like you just all the sorcery and medieval periods. It reminds me of like Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia and things of that nature. Like within the true to form fantasy realm.
yeah.
And so for me, it was like, oh, okay, cool, this is good. I'm on board with this. Like, I'm with it. I'm with
I'm
it.
gonna watch this. I'm gonna watch it again. Now that y'all said this, I'm gonna watch it again. But I swear, they got 20 minutes to hold me. That movie was
Oh,
only
man.
like 2.5 hours long.
You know what it was though? Have you seen any of like the CGI trailers for World of Warcraft? Like not the gameplay trailers, but like the actual like
Movie?
high budget. No, for the games, like because they'll do CG trailers to promote
okay.
like expansion packs for the games and like to promote the gameplay and like the story and all of that. The movie reminded me of those because I would watch those like because I never played the game, but like those trailers would be like fire, and so the movie reminded me of those trailers. So I was like, I'm good. I was like, I'm here for it. It's like this is me watching someone play this game.
I'm not feeling it. The Uncool says everything's not going to be the Snyder cut, but with streaming becoming more and more popular, director/extended cuts could make more sense to just throw up on the different services.
Yeah, I
I
don't
would
see
do
the
it.
reason why they need to limit, like have certain time. Like, well, let me rephrase that. They can loosen the time restrictions on films when they're going straight to a streaming service. Like I don't see like Netflix, for instance, when they make movies. Like I don't understand why they, stay within that 2 hour time frame. Like everything that they've put out has been basically 2 hours. Well, not everything, but the majority of the properties, their original properties that they've put out, have been 2 hours or less. But people binge like 12 episode shows in a weekend, and it's like you can tell a long format movie on Netflix and
Yeah.
HBO Max and like these other and Hulu and all the other streaming platforms, Disney Plus, everything. Like they can do this. Like there was no need to cut up Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You could have given us a long epic movie, kind of like Seven Samurai and like the classic films of old, because those movies are like 4, 5, 6 hours. Like, but it's just one big epic tale because they're trying to get the story across.
Have y'all seen The Irishman?
Yeah.
That would be because that's what 3 hours.
That's 3.5 hours long.
That's
Like
an exception, and they
people
should
still
make more
watch
of
it.
those. Yeah,
They
they should
still.
make more of those. Like,
But I also think if this Snyder cut was delivered and they told us in theaters and they told us it was 4 hours long and they put an intermission in there after 2 hours to go use the bathroom, I would have still gone to the theater to check it out. And after seeing that movie, I can't say that I would have been unhappy watching that in a theater. Like,
so they used to do that in theaters when they had longer format movies playing. Like if the movie was longer than 2 hours, they would have like a 10-minute intermission where they would stop. There would be a break, and you could go and get refreshments, go to the restroom, come back in 10 minutes, and they would continue the movie. So like it's not like they can't do it. It's just that the longer duration that a movie is, the fewer and fewer times that you have that you can negotiate with a theater to play the movie in that screening. And
how
that's the whole play. It's not really the issue being it being long. It's just that over the long term they make less money because it's on fewer screens because of the long time, the runtime of the movie.
the Cleopatra movie with Elizabeth Taylor is 5 hours and 20 minutes long. If they used to watch that in them raggedy theater, let me not talk about back in the day. But if they used to watch that, we could sit through a 4 hour movie.
Hey
Tomorrow,
man,
my grandmother is going to make us watch the 10 Commandments. I have to watch that for 4 hours.
they
Like,
used
I
to
feel
make
for you.
remember
Lord.
they
I
had
feel
the drive-in theaters too. Like there was, but they had different types of viewing experiences for watching movies. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, they used to have intermissions within the movie where you just break, and they come over the PA system and like, all right, we're on intermission. Come, it's be 10 minutes. We'll resume the film, and then you go out, get refreshments, come back, refresh yourself, go to the restroom, what have you.
I just reminded myself that I got to watch the 10 Commandments tomorrow. And I'm a little upset. That's a lot of movie right there.
Mm.
The Disney needs to make a animated version of the 10 Commandments, like how they made the Prince of Egypt. I'll watch that. Disney,
Yeah,
if you get that under 2 hours, make that, please.
Disney
they
probably
could.
wouldn't touch
Why
it.
wouldn't they do a now of all of the reboots that they've been doing? Like, why wouldn't they do a live action version of the Prince of Egypt?
Because the universe does not want to accept that Egyptians are black. They're remaking the Cleopatra movie with Gal Gadot as
That's
Cleopatra. Right now, that's
well,
happening. A movie will come out with Gal Gadot
Why
as.
she accept that role? I don't like that.
I don't like it either. But that's, you know what? That's why Wonder Woman 1984 was bad. That was pre-punishment.
Wow.
wow, that's
So yeah,
a
they're
way
not.
of thinking about that.
The only time you've seen Egyptians be black on screen is in a cartoon. So shout out to Disney for being able to do that. But yeah,
I think in maybe Stargate.
oh probably. Well, they
I
also
think
touched on
Stargate
that a
too.
little bit in
Well, they
American.
were more darker skinned Egyptians. I'll put it that way. In that, I don't think they were all like Nubian, but they were
Speak.
definitely a lot more African um, actors in that series, in the
Yeah.
film and in the series.
You know what other genre doesn't show black folk is anime. What is up with that?
They're getting better,
They
Are
are.
they?
but they also
Are they?
yeah they definitely are. But they would also
Point me in the
when they
direction
would
of
do
these shows.
Real quick,
not like black shows, but they have more black characters. I mean, they Naruto, for instance. I mean, they have an entire
The
uh
rapping ninja.
what that whole nation is black though.
I, I'm probably not that far.
You're not. Yeah, you're nowhere near that far. You not even close. Garrett, have you? Never mind.
So why the
I don't
only
even know. Where
nation,
have you
black
seen
nation, got to have a rapping ninja though?
Killer
That's
B?
crazy. Yeah, Killer B. I understand it's a tribute to Wu Tang and
It's
all,
not.
you know.
It's that. It's that, and it just fits his character. You got to see the character. It's not. It's not.
I've seen
It's
him.
not like what you think, and it's not like he's just walking around like rapping 24/7. It's more or less poetry,
All right. What
but it's fire because he's spitting rhymes and then like also like destroying people. So it's great.
Yeah, swinging swords in his elbows and knees. And,
You
yeah,
don't want any smoke with that dude. That, let's put it that way. That's the wrong one to run up on. As Wu Tang said, Wu Tang Clan ain't nothing. That's Killer B. That's his whole.
but
That's his whole mo, bro.
JBM, did you finish Attack on Titan or at least get mostly through season 4?
I am 3 episodes in season 4.
You haven't seen it yet. All
Yeah, I
right.
haven't.
Remember this conversation about black characters and then watch Attack. I want to say it's coming up in a couple of episodes, but yeah, they touch
Yeah.
on it. But the land in Attack on Titan is Earth, just a future Earth. And there has been a missing race in the show, and they touch on it for like 2 seconds.
You know, and I
And
think
I
a
was
lot
like,
of it too.
I was watching it like, did they just did that? So yeah.
Oh wow.
I think a lot of it too, though, like in recent, because it's, I would say probably more in like the since the 2010s. I would say I don't have any data to back those up, but I think that the rise, I think that the studios are becoming more aware of how popular anime is and manga is in the African American communities, and probably the uh, over in Europe as well. Like I don't think that they really knew how big and how popular anime was within these subgroups. And now they're like, oh, okay, let's
Nah,
start
bro.
putting black
They
characters
just
in it
didn't
now.
care. They was just
Yeah,
like,
I
yeah,
think
think they were
I think
checking
they just kind of sort of like,
yeah.
yeah, I think they just looked at an American audience and like, oh, this is popular in America, and they just
Because you got blue-eyed, blonde-haired anime characters supposed to be, Japanese.
for Attack on Titan.
because
Go
I
figure.
think they're making it for like American audiences and they're viewing Americans as white people.
In Attack on Titan, they
Because
touch
I mean, there are Japanese studios, but continue. Sorry.
in season 1. They touch on that Armin and Eren are white because Mikasa was Asian, and someone was trying to buy her because she was Asian. Because the place that they are, there weren't many Asian people there. So yeah, the fact that an Asian person was a rarity in this show in the beginning, but then there were also no black people at all is pretty strange. Him, it's not you hating.
I wonder how far he got.
He's
Because I
been
almost
making
stopped
this.
watching Attack on Titan. I got to season 2 and was like, this I don't really see the hype. And then I stuck with it. And when I got to season 3, I was like, okay,
I
I'm interested.
definitely
And by the end of 3, I was like, oh, it's pretty good.
I'm sad it took you.
I definitely hit
Yeah, it
that
took me a
point in
minute.
season 2 because for one, although Naruto is longer, I never really lost interest in the series. Like
Naruto is the greatest, bro.
like it kept my interest,
Naruto is
and
the greatest.
I liked the shock value of season
Rock
1 of
Lee.
Attack on Titan, and then like it took too long for them to give me
Pivot.
something a little bit different in season 2, and I
Yeah.
lost interest. And then I mean I'll go back to watching it, but like I think the slow build of Naruto tempered expectations for the season, like because that's a slow burn, but like
But the
the
pace
hotter
is
that
like
fire
perfect,
gets,
bro.
like it be
Yeah.
goodness gracious, it's kind of like they turn the stove is on low, and then they just keep turning the dial with each episode and each season, and all of a sudden next thing you know you at 10 like, and it's like, yo, this is great.
Yeah.
This is amazing. Like long, but goodness gracious, it's good. It's good.
I'm still not watching that. It's too much show. I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
Just know you're missing out.
That's cool.
yeah,
It's not bad if you do it with the filler list.
I
That
yeah.
don't
won't.
That
the
watch
fact that
list.
there's a list of episodes to skip. Why would I want to watch that? Yo, I got this fire show, right? But listen, don't watch all of these episodes, only watch these. Like, if I told you that, you would not want to watch that show.
But
That's how
okay, but
somebody
it's not.
introduced me to
I was
Naruto.
about to say the filler
Yeah.
episodes are they
It's
they
straight
they they
filler. It's like,
consider them filler because they deviate from the main story, but those
hmm
episodes are about character development and they give you some insight into the lore, into just the universe as a whole and like what all's going on, like what they're not explaining is happening within the main story because they don't have time to, which is why people say you don't have to watch it. But
yeah. I
if
mean, you
you
still
watch
get
those
all that
episodes, you
from
do
the
gain
main
some knowledge of what is going
episodes.
on.
Yeah,
It's
because the fillers are just wasn't the filler episodes are what the producers of the show made that weren't in the manga. Pretty much,
yeah,
they did it to like space out the time in between the mangas being released.
yeah. So they'll put in some like episodes that develop some characters or some backstory into like one of the main characters. They'll it'll be a mission that one of the characters went on when he was or she was younger. And it kind of builds the legend of the character in a way, like, but it's not integral to the main story. It's just kind of like a,
Bunch of
oh,
side
look at
mission,
him
like a
being
side
like a
mission in the game.
total bad. So that's kind of what they are. That's why it's like it's not key to the main story, but it does kind of sort of enhance the story just a little bit because you get a little bit more about some of your favorite characters.
I appreciate the breakdowns, but you have not won me over with this. I'm sorry, y'all.
Hey, I
You
wasn't
know,
trying to.
I'll say, excuse me, I'll say this. I will start Naruto after I finish everything that I need to finish for Star Wars.
You not finished the Star Wars.
I was about to say
Yo.
that's not. I don't see that happening.
That's not happening.
So let's go get done.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I'm not giving a date. It'll get done though.
Oh man. Speaking of Star Wars stream tomorrow because we got some news finally that is for content. Uh, Bad Batch trailer, got to break that down because there's a lot that happened within that trailer and a lot of things to speculate about and discuss. As well as the Kenobi show got some casting and speculate about some of the who these people. I know a few of the characters who are returning and who they'll be playing, but there's some new faces that I'd like to speculate about. So
Kenobi. He better cry. First episode. If he ain't crying, I'm not watching.
okay,
Dang. All right then.
Yeah. He got to repent for his sins.
yeah, I'm not sure what to expect with the story, but the fact that Hayden Christensen is back and he's got. I mean, he was on the top line for that casting call, so he's going to have a lot of screen time. If I'm going to go off of the order that they were, um, on that poster, then he and Obi-Wan basically are sharing screen time. So I think we'll get a lot of hopefully some live action sequences and flashbacks from the Clone Wars, which would be really cool. I think that we've got a new young Ahsoka casting in live action, but I'll explain that a little bit more tomorrow. So, I mean, that casting list was very informative. And O'Shea Jackson, I'm just trying to figure out who or what he's playing, but
it don't matter. I'm glad he's in it.
Yeah, that was a shock. I was like, yo, he's in this? That's amazing. I was happy.
Yeah.
I'm like instantly. That was like the first thing that I picked out because that was one name, a big name that I didn't know was attached to this project. So that was definitely some good news.
I wonder why they would cast a different Ahsoka and not just use like, you know, make Rosario Dawson look younger.
Because if they're doing a
Older, right?
Clone Wars, yeah, she's
Hmm?
a lot shorter in Clone Wars than she is in, and she's also, I mean, getting Rosario to play like a 14 to 15-year-old girl's kind of
Oh, is that
stretch.
how old she was? And
She was
Yeah,
at the
young.
she's
end
like
of
14 in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
by the end of it,
By the end of it, she's like 17, 18.
I don't understand how she beat Maul.
Well, you spend 17 years of your life being a Jedi, and then you fight a war for 3 years where you're constantly honing your skills. Yeah, that can give you an advantage. Plus, she fought several Force users throughout the series, so
Still,
not surprising.
that was Maul.
And Anakin is her master, so like, hey, it's not like she's gonna be some slouch in lightsaber combat
I ain't say
because
slide.
he
I
gets
just said
busy.
I don't see how she beat Maul.
Anakin, you underestimate Anakin as a teacher.
I think they ain't respect Maul. Maul, Maul got disrespect the whole series. But that's just me.
Could be. I
I
don't
gotta
know. I don't think so. I feel like it was good, but
That was a great fight though. It was. Man. I think that was probably the best fight next to the Anakin Kenobi fight.
yeah, the prequel fights, lightsaber fights, are like top tier. Like that's prime premier lightsaber combat, which it was intended to be, according to George Lucas, because that's what he wanted. Like he said that he wanted a clear cut difference in the fighting from the original trilogy to the prequels because they're supposed to be more refined and they're masters, so they have to show their mastery within lightsaber combat because this is like at the height of their power. So
I
the
thought
combat sequencing is like
the High
a lot
Republic was
slower.
the height.
So I mean, this is really it's the back end. Like this is right before the fall. It's still like they're
But
strong now.
wasn't there some type of reasoning behind why um, uh, Qui Gon and Obi couldn't beat Maul 2-on-1 because they weren't as refined in lightsaber combat because it had
Yes.
been peacetime for so long.
Yep. Yeah. It.
Yeah, so
So after the High
I don't know what
Republic,
George Lucas is
they went
talking
with.
about.
Hmm?
Said George Lucas said there should be a difference because they were refined fighting in the prequels,
Yeah,
but then
and
they're
they're in their
saying
prime.
the High Republic was more refined than the prequels, and in the
No,
prequels they were not
he
used to
means,
lightsaber combat.
but we're talking about like a 61-year-old Obi-Wan Kenobi in the originals versus Obi-Wan in his 20s. Like there's going to be a significant difference in how capable of a fighter he's going to be, and that's what he was saying. Like so, the pacing and the speed and the intensity of the fights was greater because he's younger and he's in his prime, and most of the Jedi that we
And
see are in their
technology.
physical prime.
No,
That too.
we had the tech to make it spectacular.
That too. That too. The choreography was like a miles better.
Yeah.
The originals leaned a lot into the emotion of the fight, and like the prequels was definitely about technique. You see that. You see that. So that's it. Like this is not a Star Wars conversation. We'll hold that for tomorrow. But
Hey,
a little bit.
but yo, no, do we want to speak on Tyler Perry and his tomfoolery?
I don't know what happened.
You just got to watch the clip. He's got some show on TV. I don't know what the name of the show is. It's got some type of lawyer,
oh, okay.
and there was
I
a
know what you're talking
scene
about. I saw
where
that.
somebody
Well, I
did
didn't
some
see the
crazy
video.
stuff.
Okay. I don't know what scene y'all are talking about, but out of like the shows that he's dropped on like for BET Plus, he has a few scenes that are wild that have gone viral a couple times. I don't know about which scene you're talking about in particular, but there was a scene where I don't know if these gentlemen were at like a camp, like a chastity camp, but one grown man
Chastity
smelled another grown man's genitals to make sure that he wasn't active. This happened on a Tyler Perry show. I swear I saw the clip. Yeah, and
like on some baby boy type stuff.
yes. But I don't believe the men were in a relationship. I think like
what?
Exactly. So
Tyler Perry. See,
he had.
I'm not gonna say that.
He's not. What am I trying to say? Whatever y'all are talking about is probably very on brand for what he has been.
It's like that, but it's more intense than what you described just now.
It went viral where?
So I saw a portion. I think I saw a portion of the clip that he's referencing, and I'm not gonna say.
It involves a man and a woman.
Yeah, it was.
The woman is like some type of psychologist, and the man is disturbed clearly, and he's doing something, and what he does, and it's
It's I don't understand why.
I don't know how that
happened. Yeah, I was like,
actually, let's get real time reaction. Hey,
it's a minute long. Y'all want me to watch this on camera for real?
Why not?
I didn't watch the whole thing. I saw the act that was being performed, and I was just like, all right, I'm out of here.
Yeah, Tyler Perry need to go on somewhere.
Yeah, that's a. But they greenlit it, so that's what they.
Hey,
wait.
I just want to know how Pepe Le Pew got canceled and not that mess. Why? What?
Oh gosh.
He look it up on World Star. Came out.
His hand was doing.
The whole sequence was just like, I don't understand why. I don't understand. I don't get it.
Nothing that would never happen that way anyway. That's not.
I'm like, why didn't she just call the police instantly? Because that's crazy. Like, get out and call the police because this dude needs to. It's time to go. And it's not even discreet. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, have you seen?
You know what's going on.
That scene the little jail thing, and one of the inmates was like, "Nah." Yo!
Hey, that dude was killing me when he was going like this. He was like,
"Oh man,
Tyler Perry needs to stop."
Yo, Mrs. Cooper, nonsense. But this is
it's
for what he's been doing. This is like knowing that this is Tyler Perry and this is from one of his shows. This does not surprise me. There's been a lot of these shows that he is producing exclusively for BET Plus. They're like this. I'm telling you. One man sniffed another man's genitals to make sure that he wasn't doing nothing, and they were like supposed to be bros. Exactly.
Oh, Tyler Perry got some explaining to
do. The comments.
So you remember when Dave Chappelle? Y'all saw the interview where Dave Chappelle was explaining why he walked away from the Chappelle show, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand why Tyler Perry hasn't had one of these moments because
he's
long overdue for it.
Giving this money up, he is.
You gotta understand,
but you
Tyler
see the
Perry
difference in character,
in the game,
right? Like you see the difference. Like, and I'm not trying to slander
Medea.
Either one of them, but like, there's a conscience to Dave Chappelle that we can clearly say is. Morally sound at this point, and I'm just not sure
things he's not gonna do.
Where Tyler Perry is at
all over the place. Like, apparently,
did I tell y'all what the skit was that made him leave Comedy Central?
Yeah,
no, because
we talked about it.
the Dave Letterman interview, but
Yeah.
basically it was like a minstrel skit. So he was playing a minstrel person like that would pop out whenever a black business person had to make a decision, and he noticed on set that the white people were laughing at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Like they were enjoying the minstrel show. And he was like, this is wrong. And I had never considered like thanking him for leaving. But in that moment, all I could think was like, wow, thank you for that was a lot of money. Like that was a really hard decision. And he deserves a thank you for realizing that this is wrong and stepping away from it. But yeah, Tyler Perry ain't giving that money up. It's clear.
Yeah. So it's just like I said.
That's
There's
crazy.
there's a
You need to
difference.
sit down.
There's a character difference between the two.
That's unacceptable. Yo,
There's a clear cut character difference.
but the man got his own studio. He produces his own work.
Yeah,
he says no
I
to
respect
nobody.
his grind. I respect like how his story and like where he came from and how he got to this point. But with at some point, I hope that he has a realization and realizes that you've created a platform for yourself and you have a power now that you didn't have when you didn't have, what I'm saying, where you've got more control over the types of content that you put out, with us in mind.
I'm going to drop this link in the Discord so y'all can watch what we're talking about if you have not seen it.
Yeah, so it's I hope that at some point he can have this moment before it goes really bad, because I just fear that if he continues creating this type of content, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well.
The question is, who is it not going to end well for? Because he's living his best life. Who is he going to answer to?
Nobody.
Exactly. I don't think he's going to stop.
Who is you wouldn't be?
Who is watching it? Who? I'm not watching.
Well, we don't know who's watching it. It got greenlit, so apparently they did the research and figured that there would be some sort of profit behind putting this out. But he can tell better stories.
I feel unclean after watching that.
He can tell better stories.
Like I need to watch the 10 Commandments to this film. I sit down happily and watch it.
Hey, yeah, I feel like I need to too.
My thing is, like, I don't want to wish. I'm not wishing this on him, but I can see how this type of stuff can lead to some sort of sexual misconduct, like accusations down the road. Because that's wild.
Well, I mean, he's the only person writing these shows. So at least we know it ain't happening in the writer's room. That's what everybody's beef is on social media, that Tyler Perry will not hire writers. He writes everything that he makes himself. He has like 8 different shows running simultaneously. He's writing them all. That's why these shows look like this.
And I've seen like a number of women who watch these shows talk about how they don't feel like like the portrayal is kind of sort of demeaning. And so like think about the Josh Whedon stuff and like all of that, everything that's come to light in his situation since the Snyder Cuts come out. Like it wouldn't surprise me if something similar could have occurred, or at least some accusations in that same manner could be made about Tyler. And I'm not saying that they are happening. I'm just saying that he's kind of creating an environment where that type of accusation could be believable, whether true or untrue.
I don't want to speculate on that, especially if no accusations haven't been made yet. But I will say no woman writer would have ever written that scene that I just watched. Because I'll tell you what, if I'm chilling and a man is touching himself inappropriately, he's getting hit, he's getting cussed out, or I'm removing myself from the situation. Like cussing out dudes on the train station is a regular occurrence. Like you're not about to just sit around me and do. and it's y'all. Yeah, I'm. That was a lot. This is supposed to be a Godzilla versus Kong review show.
Discussion. Well, I think we finished the review. We are an hour and 30 in. So like that first hour was the review.
Sith Gaming, if you weren't here from the beginning, please come back for the rewatch because we did talk a lot about it. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah, Sith Gaming. My review was almost fell asleep.
I
I
saw
was a bit underwhelmed.
I had to be nudged awake.
I saw it in theaters, so I enjoyed it. But watching it at home, it was not as exciting. I think that was a film that we needed to go in the theater and see. You needed popcorn, you needed the seats, the RPX. If I saw that RPX, I probably would have loved it even more. When the seats vibrate and you got the sound right here, 9 out of 10. You like that movie? I don't know if I can give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, that's how. I mean, I
We
want to
didn't.
get Sith Gaming rating on
I
other
wouldn't.
movies. Sid, how do you feel about yo?
Stop what?
Yeah, no.
Never
We
mind.
just
Okay.
gonna go on and on. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So, but yeah. So the replay, the first hour, and I'll probably edit and put the actual segments of the review out onto the channel.
I think that's for the best.
And re-upload it for everyone. So we'll have that. But yeah, the first hour pretty much covered our thoughts and ideas and opinions on this film, how
Gotcha.
it was executed, maybe what could have been done better for our enjoyment. But I'll say it again, like there's some entertaining qualities about it that I liked, but overall, I'm not sold.
I will say,
It wasn't my favorite in the franchise. I'll put it that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
I shout out to Sith Gaming for mentioning this because we were really hard on the film, but there was not a bad CGI moment in the entire film. Like I
No.
saw it big screen and I saw it in my house. That's worth something. Like
Yeah, CGI was good.
yeah, it was great. Like it looked believable. Like it really looked like Mecha Godzilla and Godzilla were destroying Hong Kong. Like that, they did that.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
no complaint from me there.
They
Also,
definitely put
I
their
wonder.
earnings to work from the previous films in the franchise, and you see,
Yeah.
you know,
There's a lot of
the fruits
detail
of
in
their labor.
Godzilla's face. Like,
Yeah, man. Like the detail in Godzilla is getting more impressive with each movie.
yeah,
But yeah, CGI was good, effects were good, entertaining qualities, but I'm not sold. It's not my favorite in the franchise. I'll put it that way.
I had one more thing about the sign language. So Kong could understand sign language, but he only knew how to say home.
I have a feeling that he's able to communicate more with her. He just chose to stay home in that moment. But basically, they were alluding that the woman whose name escapes me, but was kind of like the mother figure, had been teaching him commands and the alphabet and all that stuff, and he wasn't responding. But Kong and the little girl had been communicating in secret. So because of that, I got all of that from that little bit that they gave. So I think Kong can say more. He was choosing not to because he didn't like the humans. He only liked that one little girl. And that's the only person he was cool with. But also how he was talking to her and nobody noticed doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's to our earlier point in the review that I think there's some things and character moments and key character details that were cut from this film. That
you know what I think was
on
cut?
the editing room floor.
When Godzilla had his foot on Kong's chest, I think in the cut version, Kong did some sign language and said home, and they took that out.
What?
When he was beat, he was laying on his back. Godzilla had his foot on his chest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kong did some sign language. He said, I want to go home.
I feel like you're making that up.
I am.
Okay,
Since
I was
Damien
like,
is still here, I put the link to the Discord in the chat. If you'd like to talk about this with us some more, please join us on Discord.
yeah. All right, Seth. Yeah, that I think he said he's got to
Colin
go.
got
So see
beat
you.
up.
Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow on the stream. Yeah.
all
I
I
don't
got.
have anything else.
That's it.
I have nothing else I want to talk about in regard to this movie.
Yeah, man.
That's all I
Go
got.
Don't. It's not a franchise ending bad. It's just like I'll see another movie
Yeah, it was a money grab movie.
for sure. For sure.
Edibles. Man, that's the Pfizer got me down. I don't know what you're talking about, team.
Yeah, he ain't taking edibles. What's
He's
going
talking
on?
about himself. If you love us and you enjoy what we do, please buy us some coffee. The link is in the description bar below. If you loved the conversation today and you'd like to talk to us some more, if you have some topics you'd like to talk about, please join us on Discord. The link is in the description box, and I just dropped one in the live chat. Please follow us on socials at Certified Gumbo on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I think that's all I have.
Twitch.
Yeah, and I
So,
believe, as FYI, I believe Daniel Kaluuya is hosting SNL tonight. Did I just see that?
That
Yeah. So if you're an SNL fan,
I am.
yeah, he's hosting tonight. So that's something to look forward to. Look at Trev showing up late, sir. Where you been?
so this has been a Discord discussion, man. We need T Rev and Mackie
Yeah,
to
we're
go.
gonna get T Rev and we're gonna get Trev and Mackie in a
Yeah,
on a
we
live
got.
stream to talk
Yeah, we gotta
sports
have that.
one of these weeks, sooner rather than later. Um,
For next
this
week,
is
Mrs. Cooper, we didn't talk about it today. We can talk about it next week, but I think I kind of have a system for how we're going to rank these movies. I think we need to start with Marvel and DC individually, ranking those films within each franchise, and then after that, ranking superhero films that are not DC and Marvel. And once we have those three lists, then try to bring them together. So I think we should
does
start.
Like 3 different brackets.
Chronicle a super? Are you counting Chronicle as a superhero movie?
When we get to the non DC Marvel, we can talk about what
Because what
established.
does that classify as? Because
I
What
mean,
is Chronicle?
Chronicle, they have powers. I wouldn't argue
who
against it.
directed
If
Chronicle?
anything, that would come.
What?
That
So nothing's off the table? Like Hocus Pocus?
I wouldn't say that they were superheroes, but they were like if
Josh
that's the case, then
Trank.
if we could include
The Scarlet Witch is a witch. She's a superhero. They was witches.
Okay. Oh,
She's
so
a superhero who happens to be a witch.
that's
Yeah,
a strength.
it
See,
was
that's
witches.
where we got
Talking
to
about
figure
Lord
out
of the
that
Rings.
system.
Gandalf.
Because like
Gandalf is a wizard.
this is
So-
all
talk
of it.
about?
Here's the thing: all of it is fantasy. Because
Yeah.
and the comic book movies are inspired by classic fantasy.
So we
Like,
talking about comic book superheroes. That's the specification.
Yeah, so we're like, I mean, you can include. I mean, they have Zeus and Hercules and like all of these characters for the old gods from the ancient religions that
Yeah.
pop up in these, because a lot of the characters within DC and Marvel are inspired by some of these, legacy characters. So how we put that hierarchy is going to be interesting.
So if that's the case, then we need to have a conversation. We'll do that next week as what classifies something as a superhero film, because I
Yeah.
would argue that the Joker movie that came out with Joaquin Phoenix does not qualify. So we need to talk about that. That ain't no power. That's just
Yeah, that ain't no superhero film.
so we have to have that
He's not a
conversation.
hero.
So
It's-
regardless, it's still
Yeah,
like,
okay.
even if it's a film about the villains, it's still in the same realm. But that's a conversation we need to have.
Yeah, because it's
So
still a DC
next
movie.
week, our community discussion is what classifies a film as a superhero film, and we'll go from there. I
Teenage
think
So
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Chronicle,
that
just because I gotta go back Chronicle, because Chronicle, I like Chronicle. Since JBM asked about Chronicle, it's streaming on Hulu now. Came out 2012. Josh Trank directed it, is what got people hype about him directing the Fantastic Four, because we were like, yo, this is a great movie. Like, I can't wait to see what he does with Fantastic Four. Then Fox destroyed his vision for Fantastic Four and gave us what we got. So, boom, there you go.
T Rev says Fanjextra had a 24-hour stream last November where they debated 128 superhero films. I need that list.
A
Listen,
24-hour
here's
stream.
here's what I gotta say about
What
people who
is
do
that?
24-hour streams.
What
Y'all
is
are
that?
I'm not doing
different. Okay, like there's a lot of, but so a lot of gamers and Twitch streamers, like they do 24-hour streams where like they just, it's a 24-hour straight stream. Like they don't pause, no break. Well, they'll take breaks to eat and what have you, but like they'll start a live stream at a certain time and it will go for 24 hours and they'll play video games that whole time. But a lot of times they do it for like charities and things of that nature, so they're raising money for like other causes. But that's a that's quite a feat to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
shout out to Fan Jackson. I had no idea he did a 24-hour stream.
I'm
That's
trying to
wild.
think of what I wouldn't mind doing on camera for 24 hours to raise money. Now I want to do one just because I thought about it. I'm gonna figure something out.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would definitely do it for like charity or some type of a cause that is good and it's just. Like I would definitely do a 24-hour stream. But
I
um,
need my sleep. I can sleep and be on the stream.
man,
T-Rev, thank you. Please, as soon as you get it, slide it on over because I would like to see it. Actually, you know what? That might be a bad idea. It might influence my opinions. All right, T-Rev, get the list. And I don't know if I'm going to look at it yet, but please do get it.
yo, how many? Speaking of 24 hours, how many times? How many all nighters like 24-hour like periods did you like stay up during college to get projects done? Because I had quite a few.
I,
Finals, spring of our junior year, I did not
Yes,
sleep once for 3 days.
yes, I had a
I was
couple of those.
up.
what were y'all doing with time management? I got
It's
my sleep.
crunch.
It's even the best students did. The question is, how many consecutive days did you
Did
have
you
to
stay
stay?
up?
Like, because you would stay
Right,
nowhere to work. Yeah. So
right.
spring, junior year, finals, I was up.
That's wild. I
Yeah,
was. I mean, I had a full schedule too. I was taking 6 classes a semester. So I mean, I had late
that
nights,
was.
but never did I like stay up all night. I don't function without sleep.
I wasn't say that I was doing well. Like I don't. I'm sure I was in Catholic crazy.
I think we were collectively supporting each other because everybody in Fraser and Dudley knew what time. Like it was just normal. Like we
Mm,
just that's just like
yeah,
we
I
saw
think the
all the
few times I
upperclassmen do
stayed
it.
up was not school related.
And shout out to Aliana because I remember freshman year, freshman and sophomore year, seeing Aliana like not leave Fraser for like because she was working on stuff. And she was a double major too on top of that, and
Mm-hmm.
having Carter classes and being a double major is like I can't imagine what that was like. But
The lights were never off in Fraser.
nah, it's always somebody in there.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was in Vance where I could see,
Lights
and
on
the lights on.
in the studio.
Yeah.
In the studio, dog. But I mean, that's what happens, yo. Like a lot of times, if you're inspired creatively, even if it's for a project, like there were instances where like I knew like what type of project, like everything just came to me like for like a project, and I just couldn't stop working on it. Like I've gone like I've there were periods where I have to remind myself to eat because like
A
I
lot of
would
that.
be so focused on like getting like doing like executing at this project that I would just be like I would literally forget to eat because I wouldn't feel hungry, but I knew I
Y'all were
needed
in
to eat. But I
design
just
school,
wouldn't.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So I've heard about design school because architecture is considered design school, right?
Mm, depends.
Depend. Yeah. Well, I've
So
heard
you
like
got
that.
architectural design, and then you've got more of the like architectural engineering, and
Yeah.
a
I
little
mean, I've
different,
heard
but
that
kind of sort
design
of
stuff can be demanding.
it's
Um, you know,
My
people
dad,
long
is
night.
an artist, and he went to school for architecture at
Drop
UPenn,
my phone.
and just the like they stress both math and art within architecture, and like I still see some of his drawings and stuff. Like he was working. I know them all nighters with it.
it's really like a lot of it comes from you wanting it's the conceptualization like that is where like it can get really time consuming because you got to do so much research and then you trying to understand what it is that you're trying to execute within the because everything is a hypothetical within design, so like you're giving a proposition or and then your goal is to just figure out there's no right answer, it's no right or wrong answer, it's just how do you want to execute
He ain't lying.
this.
He ain't been up no 5 days.
Man,
he,
anybody
he
who did
definitely
not go to
has
sleep last night, y'all need to go to bed. I don't
he
know what.
definitely has he did like he
He done took some naps.
T Rev, we got it. We know what you're talking about. Don't worry
he
about
was
it.
different. Yeah. But yeah, like I mean that's all this it's you get into that zone though and like it sometimes those periods just don't feel like any time is passing at all
Once you
like
on hour 36, cruising.
basically you just in cruise control at that moment like it's what no they call it like a flow state, like you'll just get into like the zone where you just like all of a sudden everything just makes sense and you know exactly how you need to go about and what you need to do, and then like depending on how you are, if you more of like a workaholic, then you will go and work through that entire, you will not stop until it's done. And like there were a lot of those and a lot of us like that in design school, and a lot of them were in Fraser and Dudley. And shout out to engineering too, because like I know quite a few of my friends over on the engineering side that were like the same way.
Real quick, shout out for Sith Gaming for joining us on Discord. Welcome to the Discord. And
Hey,
um, the VF project that we did, the
Boy,
presentation we had to give, I
hey
just thought
yo,
about it. That was
that
after
was
we
one of them.
graduated, but I did not sleep. I had been on, that was probably like my 48th hour during the presentation. Like I didn't sleep at all. The only thing I did was go home and change, and we left. Like, yeah.
Yeah, because we stayed up in the lab working, like putting the final touches on the presentation, and then like I remember it being 9 o'clock p.m. and then next thing I know, it was like 6 or 7 a.m. and the sun was up, and I was just like, "What just happened?" And, like it wasn't even like I didn't. My first thought was like, "Yo, I didn't go to sleep." It was like, "Oh, I need to go shower and get ready for the presentation." Like, so
Yeah.
like I remember us leaving and we went back to our apartments, came back dressed for the presentation. We went and got breakfast and we did it and we killed it.
Got
So
breakfast? I don't remember that.
I got breakfast.
Oh,
I got
okay.
breakfast, but like because it was a Starbucks between campus and it's not like I sat down and ate. Like I went to Starbucks. I got a cup of coffee and like a bagel, and
That crash was
I
rough.
ate that while I picked it up while on my way home, ate it, finished my coffee, took a shower, got dressed, and came back to campus.
I don't even remember what I wore. I hope I look nice. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
that
I couldn't tell you what I wore.
we all had jeans on. I remember that. We made sure we wore denim.
We had VF brand in them. Well, I think that was.
And
I
I
know I
was
had Levi's on.
Tim's, but I
Oh,
was like,
Lee's.
you're doing too much. Because
Yeah.
they own Timberland. I was like, nah, relax.
No, I went to. So I remember went to what was it? Dillard? No, that wasn't Dillard's. I went to the mall and I went to Lee and picked up some jeans just for the for because I had all Levi's and I don't think Levi's is a that's not a VF brand, but yeah,
It's not.
you know what I'm saying. But we
yeah,
killed that
man.
presentation. That was amazing.
We definitely did.
This is all to say. Make sure you get your rest.
Yes, go sleep, people. It's worth it. Thank you for watching. Or do we have anything else?
That's it. That's all I
Yeah.
gotta say. Make
That's
sure
The
you
show
tune in
ended like
tomorrow.
15 minutes ago. We were just talking on
We
camera.
just we just spitballing now because it's usually a 2 hour stream, and we got like 10 minutes till we hit that 2 hour mark. So it's kind of like we just spitballing at this point. But yeah, technically the show's over. We did our review, but we just hanging out. So
Yeah.
definitely tune in tomorrow for the Star Wars stream at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the channel, man. We're gonna talk about Bad Batch and we're gonna talk about Obi-Wan, so and some other things Star Wars related. But thank you all for tuning in to this show this Saturday, and we will see you
Yeah,
next
thank
Saturday.
y'all. Appreciate it.
And make sure you tune in Friday for WandaVision, or I almost said WandaVision.
Ha! Don't you dare.
Good night, y'all.
That's the sleep
Yeah.
deprivation kicking in right there. That's what that was. That's what that was.
Oh man, Amani froze video.
Ooh. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You are in the
Now her
vortex
computer
right
is
now.
sleep deprived.
Yeah, see,
Everything.
rest is important.
Everything.
Good night, y'all.
Good night. Oh, and as I always say, peace. Look at that. I'm slipping. Peace, love, blessings, and may the force be with you always.